the shit, spin the shit.
Are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it? Can you get it? Grab a seat. Are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it?
ここにがヒストリー学習帳みたいになんでもないことかっこ略法 Hey yo I believe これは大義理 Yo 静まり返ったらやいげに輪になって踊りたいのにやっぱ取り合わなきゃいけないんだはいチーズでピューチーズ背もたれのないクッキース
달리는 섹시 물러간 때 애니 메뉴 웃어 Much no help Nick dance and dance 마오연이 뮤비 밭 우클리를 down Look at me 시다다가 I'm going 자꾸니 그겨 쇼군을 돌리 Hotel show 다만 나시 that throw 신호기야 마타기 오마타그 in my view break it down
Don't care, I don't care, I don't play such a dumb game. You know what I mean? I don't need a seat, I sit where I wanna sit. Where I sit, my own seat, no doubt. I don't believe the hype, no need to think about. Even on the cloud, I lean on the haze and dance. Grab a seat, are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it? Can you get it? Grab a seat, are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it? Can you get it? We wanna live our lives as we dance. Complete, no compete, no see, just see free. No see, just see free. We wanna live our lives as we dance. Pure play, no complaint. No see, just see free. No see, just see free.
London, Paris and Tokyo Singapore, Hong Kong Even if you're not there you can be a king or queen on a game you play so just do it with silky flow with your patrol King of ten with toe in control Side hand shot count countdown
最後の一脚誰のもんで誰のもんで誰のもん最後の一脚誰のもんで俺のもんだ俺のもんお前が俺の上に腰掛けた次の瞬間尻餅をつくお前が俺の上に腰掛けた次の瞬間に勝負がついた
Grab a seat. Are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it? Can you get it? Grab a seat. Are you ready? Are you ready? If there's one thought, can you get it? Can you get it?
Hey yo Yeah Spin the shit spin the shit
All right, we are here. I said 2 weeks later. It's been 2 weeks. It is later, and we are playing The Great Ace Attorney 2. Also, the chat is being covered up by the game for me. Hold on. I hope my audio's okay. If not, let me know. I will adjust as I see fit. Wait, no. We need to start a new adventure because last time we were here, we did finish the last game. You're missing Rubbish's great joke. Don't worry, I see it. I readjusted. I can see it. Everything sounds good. All right. Oh shit, new song. But yeah, I'm ready. I would say I hope y'all are ready, but I'm not sure if we are. But we're getting in this anyway, so let's McFucking go. I also need to wait. No, I don't need to close anything. I'm good. I mean, if I need to take some strain off of my computer, I don't know what I'll do, but I wouldn't be playing this game if I needed to take strain off of it. Oh shit. There's the girl.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer.
Yeah, he had a pretty good arc.
I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
Yeah, I'd hope so too.
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
I find myself faced with another awful crime. Oh shit. Oh god, she again? Oh wait, are we flashing back?
I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Oh shit! Susato lawyer moments? Oh wait, she's dead. Okay.
I ask for your guidance.
That's what's going on, okay.
Kazuma-sama.
Oh. Just a slimy misdeed. Just a dubious little thing. Oh shit! New graphic! The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. August 13th, 8:26 a.m. Supreme Court of Judicature. Defendant's Antechamber number 3. Here I am again after 9 months. The Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Papa!
Ah, good, you're here. Doesn't do for a lawyer to be late.
Oh, yes, good morning, sir.
I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, Counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either.
Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish I had never been born.
Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say.
Yujin Mikotoba, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Papa! Excuse me. Oh, hi! Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Yes. Yes, that's right. Miss? Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing. What's your name? Rei Membami. Rei Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Damn. These pundits are going to commit arson. They're not quite leaping over my head, but they're like sneakily walking over my head right now. Are you feeling all right? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, well, it's just that, you look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Damn, she really do be lesbian though. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am.
It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work.
Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotoba?
If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax.
Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be, but this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? I'm so sorry I didn't say something sooner, Ray. It's just that... No! What varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that cape, that badge! Look at you! You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yume University, a male student! I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see...
It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial.
My defense? Yeah, that's right, girl. We gotta help a sister out. Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. In Britain we have racism, and in Japan we have sexism. Yep, that's how it be. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you'd go to such lengths for me? Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh, no, I have complete faith in you. Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman... what a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray, please don't look at me like that. With those flushed cheeks and those big old eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, you really do look so dashing. Yeah, you mentioned that once or twice.
You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man.
I am pleased, I think. It's certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see right through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. She has been accused of murder, though. Susato. You do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. I wasn't thinking that she might die, but now you put that idea in my head, so uh-oh. That means so much to me, Susato.
Defendant, counsel, court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty.
Oh, stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast.
Well, Susato, you've certainly surprised your father. Going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom and with no prior experience of being a lawyer.
There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this?
Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't want to burden her with that.
And is it true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was?
We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student.
Thank you, Father.
Alright, let's
Fucking go. I'm Susato Mikotoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. The lad. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Puppy is okay. Alright. Let's get in here. Is it pain again? It's fucking pain again, yep.
Yeah. This court is now in session for the trial of Ray Mbami. Court is now in session for the trial of Ray Mbami.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. Is this... I honestly don't remember his hairstyle. Is it different? Because I don't remember that little, like, whatever it is on the front. That little tuft. Whatever the fuck is going on there. Also, she's looking great. The look works for her. He never recovered from one cosm. Oh, right.
Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency. We are ready.
Ready?
Ah, yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Is that correct?
Sorry? Oh, she's even doing the fidgety eye thing. That's cute.
Oh, yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel!
Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryotaro. He was vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan.
Ah. It seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen.
Naruhodo? A fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be?
You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is,
his cousin!
That's right. Ryutaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers.
Any of them! What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accusers had to call in a country boy. How dare you! Sasato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her.
Huh?
Please be careful, Ray. What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to a challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes are very much suggesting that he is not. I'm so nervous. Standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are want to flit.
This case to be heard on this day is a matter. I don't give a fuck. It's been a while since I've read visual novel shit. I'm a bit out of practice. The case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that this outcome of this trial may affect the future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, this same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
Alright, it's time to prove myself. Yeah, do the little smacky smack, hell yeah. Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple.
Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim.
Oh, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried.
What's the matter?
Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are want to blank.
It's not surprising, really. I mean, it's your first time in this position, and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances.
Oh dear, this is a dismal failure.
Don't fret, you need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem.
Of course, the court record.
Yeah,
Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record.
that's right. Just use roast beef to open the court record.
Okay. You flip the people section with RB, and don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you very closely. Okay. I got you. Alright. Let me read the report, too. Giselle Brett, female, British. 11th of August, around 2 p.m., ascertained by examination and witness statements. Single deep stab wound from behind, piercing the lung and resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Woof! Death would have occurred within minutes. Notes, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. Okie dokie. Oh yeah, it was a bit more curly before, I think. Blip.
I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case?
God, I fucking wish it was Ouchie. It's Brett.
Yes!
Whoop. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why, then, is her name indelibly associated with our own empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, God. Everything you need is included in the court record.
Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman student persona was the face of Queen Victoria, a killer.
Yes!
What is his judge voice? I don't know. 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University was killed, and the culprit was Giselle Brett.
Yes, she was a killer. At the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain, and it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba.
Oh wait, I thought that was him saying it the whole time. Whoops.
Yes, I was indebted to the man. Thank you for the exposition. Me? No problem. Me? He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here in Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court.
Yep, with the lad, a student of the Imperial Yume University was arrested on suspicion of murder, a second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett.
Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead.
Why Shanghai?
There's a British consular court there. Oh, correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our Empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Only the day before? Damn.
That will do. I am satisfied that the counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendants.
Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle.
Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Archie!
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight.
Like, seriously, it was broad fucking daylight. Anybody could have seen this. On the outskirts of the Imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, in a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would having pain as a defendant be? Probably about a 9. I mean, I've had worse, but it would be pretty bad.
There were 2 persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt to the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say.
That's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raise an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about the bathing spot, being alone together, a powerful motive. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
It's a yokel boy using loan words he doesn't fully understand.
I beg your pardon?
No matter. Let's put it to the accused, shall we? Membami-san! You are a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe.
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment.
I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then?
I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson.
Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago?
Oh no.
The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray, be careful of what you're saying.
The motive was revenge. It's plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, it clearly was clearly a trap all along.
How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel on what he said about being alone together. I assume we have to do all of them anyway, so let's just go through the list. Membami-san. Yes, what is this? Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my allies Ryutaro Susato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present. A detective who was guarding Miss Brett, for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there was only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No!
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai.
And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. It is not looking good, fuck. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel.
The prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. Well, for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let him goad you.
Oh, this is really terrifying, but Father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel what he said about the bathing spot. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie.
What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned the bathing spot.
My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is a curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skin's...
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
Well, for old time's sake, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day.
Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast.
And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request?
Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But, in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me! It was a young student girl who did it, not I!
No one has proved that yet!
I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration instead of continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions.
Seeing the murderer of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty.
Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai, you can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment.
Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. As you can clearly see, there's nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence.
Photographic print of the scene taken by the police just after the incident occurred. The stab wound in the victim's back is clearly visible.
As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time.
Let me take a closer look at that picture. Deeply troubling, I say the finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Okay, well, let me take a closer look, yeah. Yeah, that bird's fucking dead. There's one on the floor. She has, like, a weapon in her hand, or some kind of thing in her hand, though. Okie dokie. Keeping that in mind.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. As we intend to improve the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witnesses? But who?
One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Shit damn, boys, it really do be another fucking case.
Very well then, counsel. Bring forth your witnesses.
Takatsuchi Ouchi, I've been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten. That trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ryunosuke Naruhodo!
Yes?
This insult to the Ouchi family name will never be forgotten.
You've become conceited with age, Counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that! Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so the little bump thing is new, yeah.
Struck the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The star of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Counsel?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the ouchie growth.
That is one way to put it.
You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown?
I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is this hope exactly?
I said silence! Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you.
I don't want to observe anything like that, actually.
And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand.
It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. Prosecution and defense each has much to lose.
A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life.
Yeah?
Who we got? Ah, motherfucker. Oh, hey!
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court.
Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. I'm in disguise, obviously, so I shall go undetected. Nice turtle, by the way.
And I am, the next big thing in books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out! The satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success, by Soseki Natsume!
Oh my goodness!
Struggling student from the provinces, please, you needn't be in awe of me.
I needn't?
It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please, relax. Call me Soseki, even.
Yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here?
Tread carefully, Sasato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this'll be over before it's begun.
Yes, of course. I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. I suppose it's disguise, isn't it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. What business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scenes with Seki-san? You see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less.
At Yume University?
After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the medical science department. The professor over there, in fact.
With Professor Mikotoba?
Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and skip on my privacy.
What's the deal with this dude, by the way? This new dude. He's got a... Oh, that's just an ink. That's just an ink thing. That happens when you write with a pen a lot. I would know.
As you can see, this conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of copies.
Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. The Seki Natsume article has been entered into the court record. A newspaper containing an article about a discussion between my father and Saseki-san. The debate became quite spirited.
Anyway, following my interview with the professor...
Hold on just one moment. I need to, Oh shit, I thought there would be, like, actual, like, things to, read. Nice art, though. I'm sure I'll investigate that more thoroughly again later.
Lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those are her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course.
At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance.
You always look on both sides on paper. Fair enough.
The response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her.
Was there a way to? No, there was no way to flip that, I don't think. No. But I guess we're gonna have to. Gee, I can't wait for later in the case where we're going to be like, did you look at the back? And it's gonna be a fucking red-white bullshit again, where it's like, oh, the answer was on the back of the fucking receipt. The detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga.
Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems.
It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, you, well, you do have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father?
No. Fortunately, I had work to finish off. Well, unfortunately, of course, it meant that, as my assistant, Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Duh, but if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. Give an account of all you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Relentlessly racked by remorse and regrets I am.
Testimony time. On the day of the incident, I was ordered on special surveillance assignment in this disguise.
I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me.
I ran to the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question.
Yes, that young girl was astride their Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly.
I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me that she had stabbed the victim multiple times.
Indeed, it does appear in this testimony that both witnesses here present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime.
What? Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Yes, that was it. Damning evidence.
What have you there, Counsel? Oh, a so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene while I was examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with a final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer.
What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more.
Goodness me! Damn, she really do be grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand.
That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency.
The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. Initials of the defendant.
Oh, no!
This bout pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence.
It carries the initials RM. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be yeah, no, Carrick had it right. Redmond man. Redmond man. I was trying to think of something else, but I couldn't think of anything else. So, have I admitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor out you of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination. Naruhodo-san!
Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me!
Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom?
Actually, there isn't even a single one in your courtroom.
Counsel Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please.
All right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies and prove they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Alright, on the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab. I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. Alright. You're just trying to... Oh, shit. You're right. It kind of is. I realized that. I kind of realized that as soon as, like, the message popped up. It was like, wait just a goddamn minute. I ran to the beach hut at once when I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. I saw blood on the blade. It proved to me as she'd stabbed the victim... multiple times? Multiple times?
Objection!
With that accusatory cry that just welled up deep from inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. Oh shit, new theme?
What's the meaning of that menacing pose, counsel?
I'd like the witness to clarify something for me.
Who? What? Where? When? How?
Not you, Saseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. That's me. In your statement just now, you said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What?
Get to the point, please, counsel.
In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only.
Ah!
In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. And Soseki-san,
Me?
you claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim.
Yes, I did. Wildly.
But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point, that there was already blood on the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and it's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once, and that's all they'll ever get. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood on the knife if that single stabbing hadn't already occurred.
True. Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us?
Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body.
That can't be! Excellent work, Sensato. You exploded at them without objection, and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin Stace's scene, much like this in that child, I must say. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show.
You're right. There were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who was only half a head of hair.
Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds makes not a jot of difference.
What? Why not?
Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged a deadly weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. Duh. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustache author is prone to moments of extravagance.
I mean, yes, but also, I mean, well...
I'm in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, there is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion.
But if she was withdrawing her blade...
Then we are back where we started. Yes.
Sorry?
Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is as innocent as you claim, then why would she pull the blade from the victim? And with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too. The prosecution demands an explanation. And it better be good.
Why did Ray pull out the knife?
Ah, yes, going for the jugular.
What does father mean by that?
Let the court hear your answer then, counsel.
Truth is, I don't really know, but I have to come up with a plausible reason here, or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim was surely so she could stab her again, save her life, hide the... Top and bottom seem pretty incriminating, but save her life also seems a little illogical. Wouldn't you want to leave the blade in so it doesn't like bleed out as hard? I don't remember the exact way that this works. I've never had experience with somebody getting stabbed. So I guess it sounds the least weird. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. Oh yeah, that too. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury.
Indeed, giving her time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer.
The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Keeping it in won't help. Yeah, fair. Okay, fair. That's like that is like an exception, I suppose. Yeah. To the whole stab thing.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem that this is the best we can expect of this young yokel.
Indeed.
It's just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here?
Speak, witness!
I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to a slipshod assertion just put forward by the yokel defense counsel, I mean.
Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense.
Very well, Inspector. I shall permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion.
Yes, sir. I will do so flawlessly. How's your voice?
I'm putting this in my cringe compilation.
Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research system with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago. Dr. Wilson was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause the wound to bleed heavily? Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see.
Ha! This is why Yoko should stay on the farm. And even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have had such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it.
Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so...
Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit.
Father, is it true what they're telling me?
Yes, it's basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways.
But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out the knife in full knowledge it would be fatal?
I don't know.
Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It almost seems impossible to believe, but... could my friend actually have...
Susato!
Yes?
Pull yourself together! We mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
Counsel, it's 4 p.m. Time for your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency.
However, I must warn you, if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards.
I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Okay, let's go. Forensic Medicine Primer. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research system with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Considering what Ladoggle told me about the lung thing. Minutes. I'll keep that in my back pocket in case I don't see anything else. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Yes, true. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further. I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it.
Susato, it's times like this when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. Right?
Pressing, right? That's what I'm guessing. The fundamentals?
Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it?
Of course. I've been through the court record dozens of times already.
I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must
examine it in greater detail, too.
What happened to your voice?
Don't worry about it. It's a condition. I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help.
Examine the evidence in the court record? It's an idea, certainly. I know what to do. Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama are always turning evidence over in their hands. Yes, I need to examine things in greater detail with A. Court evidence is everything. Some asshole. Yeah. Do the court record again. Have a thorough look at everything he made. Just find a clue. Apologize. This is dual destinies. Something like that. just slander the boy. This is the newspaper from Soseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive: deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's Medical Research. Father, isn't that your lab?
What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen?
It's this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know?
As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could a reporter have gleaned this information?
Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there?
It's a highly toxic poison we've been working on in the strictest confidence. I put Ray in charge of the project.
Ray! She was managing it?
If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow.
I don't believe it.
You need to read this article very carefully.
The article about the poison has been entered into the court record. Even my father, who's responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. Let me get the front for some flavor text, too. Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Soseki-san, is it, Father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange.
Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England.
That's just him, don't worry about it.
The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck.
I do hope you weren't hurt. Alright, the baby became quite spirited. Article about poison that was... Right, I need to read that. Following a lecture at Yume by Soseki Natsume on 11th of August, it's come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. A deadly poison being secretly developed in the university's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade. Wasn't that oddly specific? Current methods cannot detect a newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. That explains the other part of the autopsy report, doesn't it? Such symptoms would be suggestive of this toxin. It's apparently an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids and rumored to have been commissioned by the military. Okay. Also, ironic that Giselle would also end up dying by a poison that cannot be detected. How about that? Anyway, where's that statement? In other, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. About that.
Objection!
No, there is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound.
What?
Ha! The yokel not only has a poor grasp of the law, but is also a poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified?
It's here. In this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yume unit.
The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case.
But...
Prosecutor Auchi, you will let the defense speak.
Thank you. Oh my god, best judge.
But a newspaper article, the court cannot rely on this kind of hearsay these wretched publications carry.
Counsel for defense? I am going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion.
Your Excellency!
Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would have never done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says... Fuck, which part was it again? Deadly and tiny quality. Yeah, okay, yeah, just wanted to double check. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting... If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, it would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn this blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is, it was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. But what?
Objection! This is complete and utter nonsense!
Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife the defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life. And the prosecution cannot deny the possibility.
Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage. The word poison appears nowhere in the document.
Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking...
Objection! Oh, please! This is clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway.
In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. She must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense.
Exactly! Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it? Yokel?
Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds.
What? You can't possibly.
From your expression, Counsel, it would appear that those are not empty words. But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence.
Yes, Your Excellency. I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times, from my place at his side in the Old Bailey.
In that case, Counsel, you will present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article?
This said something about dilation of the pupils, didn't it? Yeah, extreme meiosis pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. And it also said something about like, hold on, it said something like, didn't it? Didn't it say something about the pupils? I could have sworn. One of the symptoms, onset of the symptoms occur in minutes starting with impaired breathing and ending of acute contraction of the pupil. Yeah. I'm not sure which one of the two I would put. I'm gonna try this one.
Take that!
I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis, pupil constriction, was observed in the victim. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please, do tell me. Presumably, the fact this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death?
Well...
Under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes?
What are you doing, you yokel detective?
In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death.
What?
If the defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely... Also, damn, this is Sato's theme, this fucks. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt.
Prosecutor Ouchie. I think you'll agree, this is very compelling evidence.
You yokel student and yokel professor!
I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions. Now, Yujin Mikotoba. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm and deny the veracity of the defense counsel's argument. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It pains me to have to admit it, but I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know? The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. You mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say.
Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in the newspaper.
I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision.
Father?
A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students rather than allowing them off on killing sprees.
That's totally unfounded. Who? Oh, hey, Ray. None of this is Professor Mikotoba's fault. It's all my fault. Ray?
Mamita! You stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated.
But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day.
What?
So you knew. I'd been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount.
Why didn't you let me know immediately?
I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course. It was that dainty English woman.
Mrs. Ailbrett?
That's why I decided to join a little group of people going to the seaside. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool in the back of the hut, smiling sweetly as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison! Well now, whatever do you mean? And then, she suddenly got to her feet. She started T-posing and floating in the air before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints.
I don't believe it. In other words, you realized that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison.
My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her. Which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back.
And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade.
Yes, if that small amount entered her bloodstream if that amount that entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time.
Shit, damn, boys, it really will be another fucking day. Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I have duly noted the courage with which you were confessed in the end.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here in this courtroom.
Objection! Your Excellency, do not be deceived!
Well, it was shifted until this fucker decided to speak again.
The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Membami-san. If that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed?
Well,
You have no answer because all the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
but you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you?
Oh, I have evidence. It is very much conclusive.
God fucking damn it. What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it.
You will produce the affirmation evidence at once, Prosecutor Elchi.
have some praise is due, young yokel student. What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. But you brought this on yourself!
Okay, now that's clearly her taking it out. What the? Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable.
This evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Membami-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back! No, that's not true! No! I don't believe it. Duh! Fuck. It really just...
Order, order, order! Ah, counsel for the defense! Was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom?
Perhaps his voice has yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature.
I'll show you who's slow to mature.
Careful now, Susato is trying to show her face there. It's often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here we have ample proof. The court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence.
My best friend Ray can be seen kneeling over Miss Brett.
Yeah, she sure can.
I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. It's such a stark image, I'm genuinely lost for words.
Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took that photograph?
Objection!
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. It is, though, yeah. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony.
Ah, shit! He really do be hitting me with the logic.
I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once.
Well, I'm afraid I can't do that.
Pardon?
You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by the express post yesterday. There is nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of this print is unknown.
Goodness.
Are we to understand then, counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact that this photograph is the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court?
You first produced that print before I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment because you knew that wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you?
Silence, you yokel student and blabbering professor! What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses.
But the defendant's already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly, this isn't the moment that the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn.
Don't waste the court's time with your ramblings.
Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. And the scene captures it without doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. If the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear.
Oh no.
Sato, this is the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim.
Yes, we just need to prove that somehow.
You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Takatsuchi Ouchi in a court of law.
If I can't determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it.
Well, counsel.
Your Excellency, the burning question of who took that photograph. The burning question is who took that photograph. And the answer, and the truth is, I have the answer.
Do I?
This isn't about whether I can or can't come up with the answer now. I simply have to. The identity of the person who took this dramatic photographic print is, I assure you, something the defense can and will reveal.
What? No, you can't possibly. But you so boldly claim that you can, please, do enlighten us.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to present a name.
How utterly underwhelming. Did you really believe that you could...
However, I am able to present evidence. The defense has a piece of evidence that reveals important details about the photographer's identity.
What? Very well then, counsel. Present your proofs to the court. Which piece of evidence you claim reveals something about the identity of the mystery photographer?
Oh no.
Wait. I'm looking. I am staring intently. Oh god. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Wait. I told myself I was gonna look at all the pictures, then oh shit. I thought that was just part of the, I thought that was just part of the, like, I thought that was just part of the fucking, decor, but no, that's like a thing. Would I present the article then? The crime scene photo doesn't have it.
Take that!
What is that? The newspaper again? Raucous England attorneys tell all.
It's not the headline that's relevant here, Your Excellency. Oh, shit, I skipped the dialogue. Oh, God.
Oh, fuck.
If you look at it closely, you'll notice that there are some white lines on the right-hand side.
Ah, yes, indeed. They'd already caught my eye as it happens.
Ha! What of it? A shadow of some kind, presumably, from the branches of a tree or the like.
There are no trees growing inside my laboratory at the university, I can assure you.
Now, if you look closely at this photograph...
Good gracious!
Yes, exactly the same pattern of lines is present on this photograph, too.
Well, that tells us nothing. Yes, it's a shadow of some kind, definitely, from the branches of a tree.
There wouldn't be any trees growing inside a hut at the beach, Council.
What's quite remarkable about it is the two patterns are absolutely identical. How such an extraordinary similarity have transpired?
The curious matching pattern that appears on both photographic prints is a result of... some tree branches. I'm going back on my word. No, it's a camera defect, I think. Obviously, it must be due to a problem with the camera used to take the photographs.
With the photographic device?
Yes, we can confidently say the camera's lens must be scratched, and that the scratched lens causes unwanted lines to appear on every print taken with the device.
That's a thick fucking scratch, though. Jeez. In short, the two photographs under consideration here were taken with the same camera.
There must be hundreds of such camera devices here in the capital. It will be utterly impossible to identify the owner of this particular one.
I think you're forgetting, Prosecutor Ouchie, that one of the photographs featured in a newspaper article.
A newspaper? Oh, fuck.
That's right. The author of that article is the mystery witness to this crime.
What? What?
Huh?
What was that? I see what you would call a raucous England attorney.
What are you yelling about? You've already testified.
It's many memo, I tell you. Many memo. Ni me mo!
Sasaki-san, what was that? Did you just say many memo? Many memo.
Ever since I returned to Japan, a reporter from the Shoyu News has been hounding me, following my every move. A reporter by the name of Raiten Many Memo.
Now that one I couldn't that pun I couldn't miss if I tried.
Yes, hounding me from dawn till dusk.
Now that he mentions it.
They secretly spy, snapshots, couple stories, and scupper my privacy.
Could that same reporter be?
A camera to the left, a notebook to the right. There I am, stuck in the middle with Raiten Many Memo.
So you're saying that
So you'll see that this picture was taken by Many Memo! Yes! My lord, your excellency, Esquire! Officer, find this newspaper reporter at once and bring him to my courtroom. We will adjourn for a short recess in the meantime.
yes, Your Excellency.
As you say, Your Excellency.
And one more thing. I want this knife, the murder weapon, examined for traces of poison. You will solicit the assistance of the Imperial University's medical department for the task. Understood?
Many memo!
Shit, things are going. So far, this seems to be paced a little bit better than the first trial of the last game. We'll see with the second half, though. I just hope this one this one doesn't also take me 4 hours. I could take 3. 4 is where I draw the fucking line on first cases. We'll see, though. We'll see. I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was just scared of my failure coming to light. That's all. So I hope to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I had important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew you pulled the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when in my mind I doubted you. Susato? I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Fact, lesbians stay winning. True. True, though. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could have possibly been stabbed like that.
A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It will be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you, I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true.
Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory. It's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to the police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case.
It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory.
Not anymore. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing! What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swanned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guests would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. Soseki-san's curiosity had me piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then Soseki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin, too.
This many memo-san. By the way, did the reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. He obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to Twitter.com. I mean, the police.
Twitter didn't exist in ancient Japan, right? Fuck. my jokes don't work. I need new jokes. Yes, that must be what happened.
Well, counsel, we just heard that a new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. Time to steal ourselves once again, then.
Who posted my secret crime scene photos on Twitter.com?
Defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Yes. Reyes put her faith in me now and told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene to continue the trial of Remembami.
Well, it took me an hour and a half. Guess who just got it?
Prosecutor Archie, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
What news? Why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess of the collaboration of Professor Mikotoba's laboratory at Yume University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind. Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course. I checked out that enclosed instruction book, read it thoroughly, and followed every detail.
I had the reagents delivered to police headquarters by rickshaw, so we'd be there in good time. But judging by the man's swagger, I feel we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And Council, what were the results?
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
On with the reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake.
The murder weapon has been entered into the court record. No trace of poison was found on the blade. Damn.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Ugh. Fuck. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
The newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer, bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife? But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? That's always the question, isn't it?
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Also, this guy's design reminds me of some other series, but I can't put my finger on it. I want to say Professor Layton, because, you know, the Layton versus Wright character designer worked on this game, if I'm remembering right. Ha. Remembering right. God help me.
Write a mini memo to show you news. I'm what people like to call a journo.
Hot spark. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut up right now. Right now. I will end you, motherfucker. What's a journal, Father? Do you know?
It's simply a contraction of journalist.
I'm there when the news breaks, putting pen to paper to catch those scoops that are there in print by the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. A nice guy of news. I've been on r/nice guys, let me tell you.
Oh, so, it was you who took that photograph, was it?
Well, what have we here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourselves, people. Mini memo says this is a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set it above the fold at 72 point and 5 leg forward for the morning edition.
Uh-huh. God, that being said, God, with what Ladoggle said being said, though, God, fucking imagine an Apollo Justice remaster with, like, the Great Ace Attorney quality of animations. Fucking Spark Brushel with those extra animations. I'm not sure if that would be terrifying. Or terrifying. Or terrifying.
Or, right then, let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo. Do not want to imagine 3D or HD Spark Brushel.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose. Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see. I just been with Cosmos on my stream for a while.
By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear to every defense lawyer's heart.
Keep that SCP as far away from me as possible. Yes, SCP, Spark, Cabrushel, from Ace Attorney, Apollo Justice. That was a stretch. Spark Brushel is terrifying, but my only moral disagreement with him is his hygiene. Fair enough. Too much mint. Oh god, wait, did Brushel do something with his tongue too? God, now I'm getting flashbacks. No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness?
Yes?
What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for taking this picture.
You are the primary suspect.
It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a journo if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you've got to be fast. Fast legs to run with and a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't know it down, I always say. That's what I call my many memoism. That's what I call my many memoism. Many memoism?
Ah, yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Saseki-san.
Yes, right. That was me. Many memo, okay.
But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu news offices after our meeting.
But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words had piqued my journalistic interest. Miss Brett's words? A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen?
It's hostile. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns. Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play.
Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my handy dandy notebook. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right, here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast.
A serious criminal going on some junket.
Is that a word? Hey Google. Hey Google, what the fuck is junket? A dish of sweetened and flavored curds of milk often served with fruit. Or an extravagant trip or celebration, in particular one enjoyed by a government official at public expense. That's probably the one, not the one with flavored milk.
The people need to know about this.
That's why I decided to sneak after them.
To get the woman's story so I can hammer her in the press.
Do you mean to say that you indeed witnessed it finished firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph?
Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From start to finish, through the viewfinder of my trusty camera.
Thank you, Many Memo-san. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed on the events surrounding Miss Brett's death.
Witness. Testimony. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor. She stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot. Damn, okay, flex. Reed screens, you say? Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. Yeah, I suppose. The hot walls are just screens made of coarsely woven reeds.
Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
It was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens?
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was a gamble of a lifetime.
A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose.
One risk one day, but scoop the next. That's many memoism in a nutshell.
At last, it would appear that we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter.
Why then was the story never published? That's right. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that are yet to be understood.
Ha! More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this report than meets the eye. He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Yeah, the camera. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gas I could see inside through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool, and the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor. She stabbed her in the back. Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
Ta! The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish. I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Which could use to explain to the court exactly what you witnessed.
You good?
Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. The handy-dandy notebook. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that this Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here. Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that. She just sat at the back of the hut smiling sweetly, is what I have noted down. It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt.
God, this fucking guy, huh?
Then the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged a knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other.
What you describe as a grim crime indeed.
Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says.
The beach hut plan has been entered into the court record. By the way, Mini Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try and prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Journalists have to be observers. We can't get involved.
That's our raison d'etre. I forget how that's pronounced, so I butchered it. Yep. So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should be perhaps added to his formal testimony.
Father, what are you...
I will grant the defense's request. Many Memo-san, you will supplement your form of testimony with the aforementioned statement.
Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I'll gladly prove my words aren't meaningless. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was only there as an observer.
You know, I just realized something. You know, the initials on this fucking funny thing, the RM. Oh, and the symbol too. Wow. Okay. I was just gonna say, hey, you know, the same initials as, you know, remember me, though I have to say goodbye. There, but then this showed its ugly head. Okay. There's a sort of emblem here. Look. But it isn't the Yume University one.
It must belong to some other organization, I suppose, a business of some kind. But that would seem to imply the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray.
RM as well as an emblem of some description. This may be a stretch, but hey.
Objection!
Many Memo-san, until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem to show you news on my arm. In a way, that's many. You know, the phrase is simple, but saying it not so much.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words, Counsel?
Many Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you...
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. RM.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, counsel. The initials of the accused, remember me?
Is it just a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also RM?
No. You wouldn't.
Writes in Many Memo. RM. That's horse tongue!
Can't you see? One of the central tenets of Many Memoism is being a pencil user.
Boy, why the fuck you licking a pencil, though?
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is.
Horsey horse tongue!
Many Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense, huh? It's nothing but another excuse! Exactly.
Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that will undeniably prove who its owner really is.
In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. Clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals is... it's the emblem. Got it! As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize, Many Memo-san.
Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Show You News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News whose initials are RM. Suddenly, its stars in the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they?
Damn, kill him!
Well, Many Memo-san, how do you respond?
No!
Get his ass.
Order! Order! Spare yourself witness!
So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens a real harmless secret? I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded,
I, a Show You News reporter on the behalf of the public,
conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. Interview?
You never mentioned this before?
When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as we Metamoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news.
However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired.
Got it? Yes, all right. But on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsue-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man
Has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves!
because it's not a harmless one. It's big. What? Wild. Many Metamoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story.
Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand!
Soseki-san hiding something? Really?
I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined. So I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked a woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many Muslims demands I reveal it now. But not in this testimony.
You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
That's, true. Yes.
He did. And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer that incriminates the accused.
Shit, damn, boys.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English rose in question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious, even. Counsel for the defense. I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut?
Okay, let's go. Then watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. And the detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer asked the woman a very significant question.
What question? What exactly did he say?
Well, now you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think.
Don't you, Mr. Writer Man?
Duh!
Out with it, you yokel hack! What'd you say to her? What'd you say to the dying English woman?
Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside's a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air.
Ray!
I ran to the beach to see what was happening, to find a defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brown on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin!
But what did you ask her, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you? Don't pretend this any longer! How did the woman respond? She didn't! She said nothing in response!
What?
When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or evidence, I demand you amend your testimony. I will!
I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant?
Soseki-san, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but... when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us with the student girl standing on the far side of her. When I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength and pointed a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, the direction of the student girl who stands accused today.
No.
Soseki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But the fiddlesticks, I say! I'm gonna say the fuck word in court! This is not a British court of law, you will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course, the Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. Thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction.
Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. So I went back in the hut where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that your memory of events? Oh, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Jesus, wake up, Perry. The direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear. Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly. But there can be no doubt this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court could see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed the crime. I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible arguments to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No. No! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hopes dash. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Sasato. Unless we're able to identify a true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father! We don't know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back at a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer. I take it that the defense has nothing further to add? So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say that I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what's happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding, and how did he or she stab the victim? I know how. I think. Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for a time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? Defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture. Objection! An alternative theory? Ha! None exists. Objection! There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime. What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction. Fantasy! Very well, as you are so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Where's that fucking... It would be like... Wait. Oh god, I'm horrible with space. Oh god. Wait, hold on. If it's from that way, that was not where that one was. That's not where Many Memo was from the front. Which means that, yeah, it was from the back, isn't it?
Wait! Down!
I got it. I got your fucking number, baby!
Take that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, Council? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut.
What?
Order! Sorry, it was just instinct. I don't know what happened. Oh God, I'm seeing so many different colors at once. Where am I? What time is it? Where's the sun? But student lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire. That makes no sense at all.
You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap.
Yeah, and?
I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing. You're bluffing. You...
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut?
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene?
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing, which you claim took place outside the hut?
It's a little bit... Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effect of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No, I can't see any such thing.
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary.
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in many memo-san. It could only have been you! No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? I would assume, as part of this farcical scenario, the assailant was a knife thrower.
Objection!
No, of course not.
We're not. Deadass?
Deadass. If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett, but she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. Yeah.
That ought to do it.
A slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
My word. So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. Get him! Get him! By your silence, Many Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be the Archie Clan cat. What of my growth? My growth of hope! It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this! I won't!
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and... Oh? Who the fuck is speaking up in my court?
Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals.
But we've established the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls.
And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction.
So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed, it doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
Really now, huh?
What, pray tell?
What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of that dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness.
What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right?
That is correct.
The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign this particular poison was used.
I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed.
Even if the pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and who's back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison!
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blades. I already...
Forgotten already, have we, Yoko? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Well... You're fucking kidding.
Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
You mean she drank it?
Having her look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either.
So, somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. They're looking great for the pizza. Hey, what a bewitching stare. After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It make no sense at all if I poison a woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given the person who established it. Was you! Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those white eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is.
It would seem that this trial is not dissented, yet after all, I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. Shit, I didn't mean to click that. That was my bad.
That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency.
You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You explain to the... Shit, not again. The court your testimony to the basis on which you make such a claim.
I'm a journo and I'm a man. I've never tried to run nor hide from anything in my life. I'm not about to start now, because that's minimum wisdom. For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and that fact proves I'm innocent. Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I've already poisoned her, eh? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have said, we'd have to see justice done. So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? You're the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen. You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged a blade of sweet justice right in there!
Alright then, jail time!
As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, it was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. Shit, damn, boys, really. And that's right, you guessed it. Pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. Remember when A forced the poisoning was a feminine crime? That game sure was made in the... Wait a second. No, that one wasn't made in the early 2000s. God, what the fuck? Jesus. They needed to get their shit together. Jesus. You're implicating Ray again? She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook.
The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, you only wait for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last! This is unbelievable. Fred made so much progress in proving his guilt. Is he gonna get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stop looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Damn, it might actually be 3 hours. Let's see. Yes, Your Excellency. I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Uh-huh. Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I had already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in the restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson.
Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Bakertoba, no less.
Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai.
However, there is little doubt she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. I was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her, I really did. Oh? Oh. Shoot. I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe.
Wait, young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here, so just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all of this up. Sasato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the docket once, Mommy-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination, and apparently we're all deaf because we know who the fuck Sasato is, but God.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great-peeping Tom! Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
Thank you.
But, Your Excellency!
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh, thank you so much, Your Excellency. So what they do with Dr. Wilson? We were discussing his stolen poison. The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Spratt certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government.
Not really in danger of them remembering her by name. Fair enough, but it's more so like, wait, what is this name? What is this name you're being called by? That's not a Ryutaro or a Naruhodo.
Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
Then again, they're probably not that bright. To think about that. Never mind, yeah.
Fair enough. That's true. I pestered Professor Bakertoba until he agreed to show the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Pratt rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd be developing, you'd see. And since Soseki-san expressed some interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with the deadly poison. I want to look my own enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that!
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said something she didn't know the first thing about. And said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Ah, yes. Many Memo-san. One small question, if you don't mind.
I do mind, because you see I'm busy.
Clearly, you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from UMA Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Show You News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else.
Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett word for word!
Ja!
Well, Many Memo-san?
As a journal, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memoism.
Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. Based on information he gleaned from eavesdropping. What a dirtbag. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. I want to go on record.
Very well, you may amend your formal testimony.
Jeez, man's getting a bit pent up.
The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well.
Can I reread that? And stolen. Small censoring the body from poison lace blade will prove fatal in minutes. Her methods cannot detect the newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset symptoms occur in man's. My thought is the blade was a setup, but I'm not sure if that's gonna fly. And I'm not sure if this is even the right evidence I'm supposed to be going with for that. But it's all I've got.
Objection!
Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
Before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did. There could be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told was I was a terrible toxin.
And there is but one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Where are you going with this, counsel?
Many Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut.
Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Many Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article. Namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yeah, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of that particular poison. which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, writes in Many Memo. Oh shit, there's the cornered theme again, let's go. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd also given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection! But what good would that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he'd hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs in a new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order! 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 The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope. Get him! Maybe if he got rid of that yee-ass haircut, he'd get some bitches on his dick, eh? Oh shit, there he goes.
You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? What are you calling fallen? My budgeting growth is... I don't need a counter-argument.
What are you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious.
Well, he did get bitchy.
That's the problem with this being a prequel, huh?
Well, like a distant prequel, like 100 years ago.
I stole the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories.
But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts.
Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every syllable that's hung, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word.
But surely it would be no easy task to see a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visits to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
How's that then, huh? Blown the story wide open? See, I, write in Many Memo, a mere reporter from the Shoyu News, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. Shit. But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case,
I may have stabbed her trying to kill her, but you can't prove I killed her with poison. I'm meant for you to kick my ass.
As you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin?
My point is this. There is one way that you, Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. Also, let me just check something real quick. I forget how old Susato-san is, but yike. How old are you again? Oh, 16. Okay. Just checking.
I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court just must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question?
Isn't Susato like 20? I thought Susato was like 17. I thought. You know what? Fuck it. Let me check. Susato Mikotoba age. Thank you, Ladoggle.
What the court needs is evidence.
I looked it up. According to the wiki with Susato Mikotoba, if I may quote Dr. Doofenshmirtz, she's 16. All right. The witness stole the poison on the day in question. Fuck. We never examined the knife, did we? No, wait, that wouldn't be it. We're talking about stealing the poison. Oh no, I don't know what we're doing here. No. Why is the middle like that? If we take off the pen's lid. Okay, why is that a thing? Why is that like that, eh? Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Oh shit, wait. What the fuck is going on here? Is this like a rabbit hole? I don't know what I'm doing. This must be a little reservoir that holds the ink.
Yes, you fulfill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib.
Is something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all.
Oh yes, that's right. It's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. With a very small amount of liquid still... Bruh, I swear to God. Bruh. Take that! The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
A fountain pen? How could it possibly be relevant?
These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
Bah, I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Fucking... Would it be No, wait, it would... No. What's the Meiji era equivalent of Zuma? God. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. It's like a bazooka of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What's all this talk of sucking up ink, Brav? Wait.
And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
My word. No fucking way. You're joking. Could this really be...
H.G. Sumer or Hoomer for short? Good. Well, Memo-san? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Yeah!
Objection! More absurdity! That never happened!
True, we've heard that there are procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say. And for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting...
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act, whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass.
There could have been any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. When shot by one of our outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen, huh? No, the pen was dropped after the poison at Village Reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say in your defense?
So this is how our modern justice system works, is it?
Boomer. Also, yeah, you always know what's going down when they start laughing like a fucking crazy person. God, this man acting like he's getting canceled on Twitter or some shit.
So what if my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps?
Oh no, oh shit.
I can always claw my way back into the game. I had plenty in reserve.
Fucking Wolverine looking ass.
Yeah!
Okay, wait, no. If you're attacking, that is literally, no, wait, no, shit. Wait, no.
You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation. Nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again.
It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. God, why did I change the voice? This is actually killing me. And therefore, it all depends on whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. That's right. Evidence.
Ha! No such evidence can possibly exist.
Objection!
Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. I now call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it.
This is it, Luigi.
This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Well, we haven't used this yet, have we? I don't really see a need to examine it. Watch me eat shit for not examining this one specifically.
Counsel, what is that for?
Or not. Okay, we're good. This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, something with this chemical reagent, anybody at all can check for traces of the poison.
A reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen. One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san.
is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't! Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once.
Bro, what are you doing?
This isn't my fault! The Empire drove me to this! Trying to hold its head high as a civilization, but bowing its head to every foreign powers when I took up arms to the mighty pen. I fought tirelessly on the battlefield in the name of justice and righteousness. Many Susato, with me! I'm there!
What the fuck? Girlboss combo. What the fuck? Bruh! That kicked ass.
Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown.
Girl bosses, let's go.
The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen.
What the fuck, is that allowed? It is when they're guilty as shit, I guess. It was clear to everyone present. I don't know why, just this sad fucking expression just makes me smile. Suffer.
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got a hold of me and I decided to do it. Just do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? This man really does look like he just got canceled on Twitter. Yeah.
Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right.
Answer me one thing, Many Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Also, I guess with Many Memo, I guess we can now say that. I guess we can now say the ratio of me simping to me not simping is like more of a 7 instead of a 9 out of 10.
Isn't it obvious to find out what it was made of and expose it in an article? I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Because this guy's just a funny boy.
Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead?
I went into a hut intending to quiz her on a situation. That's all. As a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom and fading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it.
And she just laughed in my face!
Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian.
What'd you call me?
This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from.
God, she fucking murdered that dude.
That's when I remembered the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time.
What a terrible tale.
In my head, I know I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up.
Yeah, eat shit, motherfucker. I feel nothing.
I'd like to ask you something.
I felt more for Eggert than this guy. That's saying something.
You often talk about justice, but surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press.
Sorry? After the trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say.
Oh, come on! Does it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman is going to sail away to the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal, huh? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. It came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Many Memos-san, that you committed murder yourself and tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. Bye.
It would appear that we've reached a conclusion in this trial. Yes. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Auchi, do you have any final thoughts?
What the fuck are you doing? Prosecutor Auchi?
I, Takatsuchi of the Auchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth, not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame.
Bruh, wait, bruh, wait.
I will end it all now with this blade. But that is a true path to Ouchiism!
Ouchie-ism?
One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
Wait, that was a joke. I don't actually want him to stab himself. Wait. He's a piece of shit, but wait.
Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuchi.
Ah! Oh, okay. Okay. I genuinely thought he was about to stab himself, huh? Well.
Now, in regard to the defendant, Mary Mamami-san,
Yes, Your Excellency?
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Hell yes. Now let Ouchie rot in jail.
What the fuck just happened?
I don't know.
Court is adjourned.
It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I could do just to stay standing.
Gave the respects just so good. Yeah. That one hairpiece had more of a character arc than Ouchie himself actually did. He got rid of his yee ass haircut. Shit! God damn it! Now he is gonna get bitches on his dick!
Lawyers have such a great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san?
Susato! Susato! Thank you so much! You were so dashing in there! Ray, and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry.
It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you.
Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there.
You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that congratulations belong to you.
Susato, don't be so standoffish.
I forgot I took screenshots of what? Come again? I mean, don't to the ass, but you know.
Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind.
Caution to the... Wait, what?
I'm the great defense lawyer Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow.
Oh, Zero Escape character, okay. I do not know anything about Zero Escape, so my first train of thought went to the bald dude from Mega Man X, and I was like, eh?
Or something. Right, I see. I'll think about it, Ray. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yeah, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anyone else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness, no, of course not, of course not!
There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile. Gay, 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 gay.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What? What? What is happening?
Ah, Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But yeah, it's me. Susato Mikotoba.
I don't. So dashing, so divine. No! Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. I had no idea Mr. Sato Esquire she was locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishingly astounding ace attorney!
Is that... Wait. Is that the first time that somebody's actually said the phrase ace attorney in one of these games? Or am I on some shit? Wait.
Poor Soseki-san. So confused.
I still remember the first time I ever met him. I think someone said it last game. Maybe, I don't remember.
was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in.
I guess I just like gave attention to it this time. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now that he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
I'm stunned. That's truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector of the police bureau who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less.
I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector.
Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I hope.
I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. Now on the steamship to Great Britain, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. You just had to flash that Kazuma frame, didn't you, huh?
Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the murder that the English woman committed at the end of last year.
Ah, yes, there was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally.
The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer.
Another vague resolution.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter.
With Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course.
Ah, my arch nemesis, how lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson.
What? Dr. Wilson?
I just can't believe that's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. Yeah.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning home to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you tell me just one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because of an urgent telegram that arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day.
What? Where'd that news come from?
That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, father. Was there something in Great Britain you perceive might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? It's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glance for your father, Susato?
I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't.
Let me go!
What the fuck are you doing still out and about? Many Memo-san!
So one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor!
Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate.
Visiting student? Giselle Brett, I mean?
No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago.
What? Student of law? He must meet Kazuma-sama.
What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy never made it to England. That he died on that steamship. And he'll never... No!
Holy shit, the judge throwing hands? Holy shit! So I was right, this is the best judge. This is the best judge, hands down. Holy shit, he fucking murked the dude. Wow.
Well, I didn't expect to find him in here.
Best time to come back. Yeah.
What are you officers playing at?
He's fucking dead in the back. Yeah, good.
Terribly sorry, Your Excellency.
It's so weird seeing the judge like outside of like a front-facing thing, though apparently I think the judge can also do that in investigations. I haven't played those games.
I was coming back to tell you that the rickshaws arrive using. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him.
Oh, Your Excellency.
The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Saishiro Jigoku.
I can't believe that there's a judge with an actual name. What the fuck?
And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Sasato.
Did you know all along from the start of the trial? Isn't starting 1 and 2 every surprise in 3, 4? Oh.
A judge sees everything, Sasato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Sashiro here hadn't known they recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Sashiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father!
Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date.
God damn it!
Well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much!
What'd you think of my Sashiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that.
Judge is fantastic. Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Oh, hi.
Judicial Assistant Mikotomakan Esquires, can I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Saseki-san. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe, that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear. Please, Saseki-san, tell me at once.
I will. As you know, my time in England was, terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness local student Naruhodo Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you, asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then, that particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Of course, I could never forget.
The father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one? You mean what Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public?
Yeah.
Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, heinous case, the case of the haunted lodgings.
case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought that whole business was over, but it seems like I was wrong. Perhaps I was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. Aw, shit. Aw, shit. Aw, shit.
So, the mystery of that English woman's
Now I
death
can
is solved.
finally
thank
take a
goodness.
fucking drink.
And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san.
Excuse me.
But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Whew, what a case. Well, on that note, I think the memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Oh, damn. Okay. That sounds oddly familiar. Well, for now, I think we're gonna cut it. And we'll be back sometime next week with more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Thank you for watching the show. And I will see you all next time. Oh.